Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for braving the weather to come out to hear this, what I know is going to be a very informative presentation by Xu. My name is Guy Caruso. I'm with the Energy and National Security Program here at CSIS, and we're really pleased to have Xu with us, both a key leader of the Institute of World Economics and Politics in Beijing, as well as the center, as well as the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences, CAS, which we have had a strong relationship between CAS and CSIS for a number of years. So we're really pleased that Xu could be with us. He has been one of the leading researchers in energy and economics in China for a number of years, and met him while I was at the IEA and been active in the International Association for Energy Economics and a number of other organizations, and spent, I believe, 26 years at the CNPC, China National Petroleum Corporation, and for the last, I guess it's about 4 years now, at the Academy. And one of the things that that he and his team have been working on is this Chinese energy outlook, which is the first publication of its kind from the Academy. And Xu mentioned to me that they work very closely with the International Energy Agency in terms of the methodology and the formatting. So I probably a little early to be claiming that maybe this would be the Chinese version of the World Energy Outlook. But anyway, it's the beginning, and I think we're all going to benefit from hearing from Xu this afternoon, and we'll have about a 30-minute presentation, then we'll go into Q&A, and so we're very pleased that Xu has chosen to make this the inaugural presentation of this publication here in the United States, and it came all the way from Beijing just to be with us today, and so we really appreciate having just come back from Japan. I know how you must feel. I mean, just arrived yesterday. So, Xu, thank you very much for being here and for all the good work you have done at the Academy, and we're going to look forward to hearing your presentation. And by the way, the extensive set of PowerPoint slides that Xu will present today, it will be available on the website as of tomorrow. So, Xu, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, my friend, Mr. Guy Caruso, for your introduction. Actually, this time, to be honest, it's not a good time for me to speak here because my bike clock remains Beijing time, not DC time. But I'm very happy and excited to be here, invited by CSIS, Guy Caruso, and his colleagues. Today, I really would like to, make my presentation about my report entitled by the World Energy China Outlook. I may leave it to make a brief introduction of the book. First of all, the book is an independent book done by myself and my team member independently. The conclusions, the data are calculated by ourselves. Some findings should be different from others. And this book I will show you here is fortunately in Chinese, not in English, but The English executive summary is available from the end here. I provided here. English version of executive summary is good, is bilingual, so English version is here. But in terms of the whole book, is composed by two parts. Number one is world end change from Chinese perspectives, and number two is energy security from multinational, multidimensional perspectives. Addition to the two parts, the main body of the book, we have a very well-researched introduction, introduce and explain the nature, the approach, assumptions of our research. And also we have a database to support our research. And before I unfolding my speech on the main points of the research, I would like to say a few words about the title. Because the title, both in Chinese and English, leave this change to the audience, because it is not a world energy outlook. It's not things like Chinese energy outlook. It's a combination. It's a combination interactive outlook focused on China. But we look at China from world perspectives, vice versa as well, simply because we have a strong source behind the title. That is, energy issue in China today are worse, vice versa as well. So when we look at China, we should have a broader view, global view, to look at China, what's happening in China, and implications on the world as well. And today, when we travel abroad, we hear a lot of people talk about China, India, when we dealing with energy issues and others. So China seems not only a black box or black swan to the Westerners, even for us as well, because it is not easy to be understood well from conventional wisdoms. So we should have a keeping brand mind to look at China. So that's why we need to put the two things together, to have an interactive look at China, to see what's happening in China. Try to have a better understanding of the country and its relation with the rest of the world. So currently, World Energy Outlook by IEA or International Energy Outlook by the EIA and some others, similar report by the energy company, or China Energy Outlook, we can find a dozen copies in China, cannot be explain lots of things. That's why we will work on the issues. We're working on this report. And we have our own approach as well, but similar to some existing reports, focusing on policy-oriented, because we find the policy issue is an important issue, is the human factors in addition to market competition, population, technology, some other issues. Policy issue will be number one things important to affect the energy development into the future. So we developed our own approaches, learn something from the others. And our approach is entitled by ECHO or ECHO's Logical Friendly Energy Strategy. This strategy is very well researched. Before we conduct our research of these topics here, because we find the existing energy policy here in China seemingly covering all things, all aspects we discussed. But we're still not satisfied. Even, for example, lots of topical issues are covered, like security of supply, which is important to the energy consumer like China, production at home and abroad. It's important for the country to go abroad for the energy resources, energy saving, structure change, green and low carbon growth, technological and systematic innovations. All things are covered by the existing policies. But however, such policies fail to satisfy ecological human expectations simply because, in fact, they are designed to serve the state interest, to serve the economic growth or GDP growth only, to serve the domestic priorities mainly. That's the issues come from. And we have several critics on the existing energy policies, including but not limited to the following 8 points here. For example, energy policies are not systematically matched. Some policies focus on energy production, while others focus on energy use, serving on a single sector or subsectors. Policy constraints on energy utilization and efficiency are weak. Energy policy in China are short of effective supervision and enforcement. Some energy policies are equivocal. Some policies are not in line with those issued by the central because of conflict of interests. Some government policies are kidnapped by energy groups, energy big companies. This is almost obvious because of the small body of the energy regulators in China. And last is transparency, accountability, and supervisions are questioned. So with all these things in mind, we think we should review the energy strategy and find out what we should be emphasized, what prioritize of the new energy policy should have. We list the 3 things here should be important. Number 1, new energy policy should focus on ecological systems and secure harmonious functioning of its parts in order to build up an ecosystem instead of economic growth or GDP growth merely. To make sure human base or human needs should be served and as a core content of the energy policy. And also, we find the energy source in China should be multiple and coexistence. And also, we have independent chapters on this issue. The future of the energy for China and for all the world will look like something different from the past. Some major energy source may not easily replaced by others. So coexistence of the multiple sources of energy is fitting our realities and the future when being utilized in cleaner, efficient way. So we have our own central scenario approach to our research. That is, again, is the eco-friendly energy strategies. Is as our essential approach to support our report here. And again, we have a database to support it. And this database is very much structured accordingly based on our understanding and research on the energy policies, as I mentioned above. So we also have a set of assumptions displaying some factors we should take into account. First of all, GDP and the populations is the main driving force behind, and the market, especially pricing, is important. And plus, subsidies should be calculated in China. And also technologies, including CO2 emission reduction technology and other technologies. I have some data for this. Technology is very important, of course. We list 10 technologies which is very critical, important to calculate the energy development here in China, but not well assessed, to be honest, for the first version or research here. But later on, we will very much focus on technologies and the implications on energy. And the last thing is policy. Again, it is policy, energy policy in China should be not only focused on national interests, public policy dimension should be factored in as well. So this is important for us to keep in mind as well. And the main finding, again, we have almost 15 main findings from our research. I have no time to go through each of them, of course. So instead, I selected the 8 of them to have more discussion with the audience here. Number 1 is megatrends. Megatrends focus on global views, especially energy transformations. For example, we believe conventional patterns of energy utilization are about to terminate. Hydrocarbon fuels should be coexist, not being replaced one another continuously. And natural gas and renewable energy sources should be joined these forces to grow on the stage to reflect higher human expectations and environment requirements. This is very important for China and for the world as well. When we look at the energy revolution, energy transformation into the futures, we have studies on the issues, and just skip this one. And structurally speaking, or geologically speaking, we agree to some point made by the IEA, especially under its new policy scenarios. Energy will be increased steadily into the future for the different type of energy source, especially for natural gas and renewables. And the 4th or 5th scenario is a separated one, place more constraints on the growth. But the natural gas and renewable will facing some bigger pressures, to be grown up at the faster rate. And of course, China and India will take a big pie, almost half of the new energy consumptions during our outlook period of times. China, India, if we take Middle East into account, will be more than half. So this is an important message. And our forecast on Chinese energy demand growth will be going up like in the same routes as REA, but at a much higher growing rate than the REA. So China will be take a lead, and also India, Middle East, and Brazil will be follow. Comparatively speaking, OECD country consumption will be very flat. So the demand side is things moving from developing world to the emerging regions. Geologically speaking, it things is moving from the Western Hemisphere to Eastern Hemisphere. So its eastbound demand is obvious. And in supply side, of course, energy independence here in US is reality. And someone say new Middle East will be formed if taking to Canada, US, or North America together will play a very important role in the 2020 oil, at least oil in North America will account for 25% of the world total output. This is a reality, but this is one part of the story. I believe we should look at existing Middle East, Persian Gulf especially, and outside of the Middle East as well. Together with the new Middle Eastern, the 3 Middle Easterns will present much closely closer issues close to realities, both for oil and the gas as well. These two slides I bought from the IEA just represents how important of the Middle East into the future, longer term to come until the 2030 or 35. So my conclusion from these observations is following. The supply is not only diversified, but also polycentric as well. So Middle East, of course, will continue playing important role, especially if we look at the Iraq. This country will be growing up not only for oil, but for gas as well, just second to Saudi Arabia. And some other supply centers will play an important role. For example, Eastern Africa and some other places I just cited here. So the polycentric supply is obvious against the eastbound demand as well. And the natural gas presents the same case, but it's more particular presents the polycentric. And plus, because of the changing of the supply landscape for natural gas in some years to come, for example, 2018, the things trade pattern will be reshaped. If you take a look at these slides here, some other source from different places to Asia. So we believe in the few years to come, the buyer's competition will be reshaped, will be turning to the seller's competitions. This will be new things and have great repercussions on the competition structure and the pricing as well. We should closely look at that, and especially what's the meaning to China. And the second point is Chinese demand. Chinese demand, we have forecast on the energy demand into the future. Our approaches or trajectory of the demand growth look like this. It's simply seen from the trends is growing at much higher growing rates than IEA's, 2.23% for the energy consumption growth from now to the 2035. But the important thing is look at the energy mix, especially for coal, will be reduced from somewhere around the 70% decreased to the level below the 50%. This is our view and observations, analysis of policy issues in China and what's the changing into the future. And power generation presents a similar trends as we just showed for the energy consumptions. Again, for the power generation, the coal will be reduced sharply as well. Natural gas, as IEA report indicated, we are now entering a golden age of the gas. We think it will be true not only for the world, but for China as well. But look at China closely. The golden age in China will be represented in much more detail and a little bit different way we have seen from the IEA's report. Simply speaking, unconventional will play a very important role to support the golden age of gas in China. We present these slides here. We have the data from IEA on China. It seems the trends look like similar, but if we look at the unconventional, IEA according to definition of the unconventional, they including three types. tight gas, CBM, and Shell. We take a same definition, but our calculation is much different, especially for the 2011. Our calculation for the unconventional, especially including tight gas, will be around 40%, not 10%, simply because for many years, tight gas calculate as part of conventional. But now, especially we use the same definition, takes the tight gas out of conventional to be a part of unconventional. The production of unconventional in total will be much higher rate. So around the 40%. This is our realities. Actually meaning we have relatively speaking mature development experience in this development in these unconventional, especially for tight gas. We have technology, we have experience to develop our tight gas, but not for Shell, not for Shell. So far, Shell production in China is very limited. Our number for last year is 200 million cubic meters, very small number. This is the things we should closely look at. Even the number, the potential, resources potential for shale gas is huge, even larger than US. But production extremely low, simply because we have no history and experience to develop the shale gas compared with US, which have almost 200 years from now. But it's a very short time here in China. So this is the issue. So putting the things together, we believe unconventional will take a very important role, will be driving force for the golden age of gas here in China, but mainly promoted by the tight gas and the CBM at this years and some years to come before the 2020. So after the 2020, I believe the chance will be continue, but left off a little bit, but continue to go to the year 2035. And at that year, unconventional rate still will be 73%. So the reality is that China entering golden age of gas, but driving force behind is unconventional. For the year before the 2020, mainly come from tight gas and the CBM. So for Shell, we believe we still lack of experience. Even we have similar technologies. For example, horizontal drilling, we have similar technologies, but it means different things. Even we have such type of technology, but we cannot to develop the Shell quickly, simply because we still need to develop a geological series to have better understanding what's the specific structure look like here in China, and what's the technology package should be required, and what's a business module infrastructure should be in place, plus regulations as well. Now, all the things not very ready. This is my views on the shale gas here. Renewable, globally speaking, this is almost everybody all knows things will keep growing. And if we closely look at China, our projection is different. There's a big gap between our projections and the IEA's, especially for the year 2035. And we believe the renewable or non-fossil fuel in China, the demand in China will be increased to the 15% in 2020 and continue to grow to the 24.5% in the 2035 from current level a little bit below the 10%. And this is similar views for the renewable unconventional, but limited to the power generations. This is present a similar but much more remarkable changes. Dependence. Because energy demand will be growing and grow at much faster, higher rate than IEA, as I mentioned. So the falling dependence especially for oil